broadcasting.
All right, so I'm going to call the meeting to order at 6:02. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda, please?
Sure, I move that we approve the agenda.
Thank you, Fernanda. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Leslie. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And Barbara, can you just let me know?
Wiggle your boots.
Thank you.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, we have an agenda. Before we start, the only thing I want to say is that if you look at our agenda, we do have an executive session at 6:30 for a residency hearing. So I will stop the meeting when those attendees arrive so that we can do that, and then we'll restart the meeting after that. The other thing I'm going to mention is that we're about to do communications with parents, citizens, and staff. I know at the last meeting in October, I did say that we would have open comment after each item. We're not going to do that tonight. So if you have something that you'd like the board to say, it does need to be done during public comment. So, having said that, is there anyone here who'd like to speak to the board? Go ahead, Julie.
I would like to speak to the board in reference to the discussion about
Can you, full name?
Julie Delphia,
There you go.
about the Whiting, Lester, Nashby transition. So I've been to the meeting before, and I also attended the meeting on Saturday at Lester School. So I think the board needs to take some time to really think about this. One of the issues that we have is in Lester is that our school is our community. We have nothing else. We are a bedroom community. The school and the town office is it. So when you make major changes to the school, you're affecting our community, and we're talking about having state requested numbers of 51 new homes in the next 5 years. And what's going to draw families if we don't have a school? I expressed concerns before about the traffic flow. We are already at max capacity with traffic on our town roads to the school. There's no second ingress egress to the school. There is only one entrance and one exit, same thing. So we are already maxed out. Adding more driven children instead of bused children is going to create more traffic flow issues. I am concerned about kids being on buses for longer than they already are. So one of the things that we talked about on Saturday was my question of why would we take 65 children from Leicester and move them to Nashby, and then take 60 children from Nashby and move them to Leicester, and add 3 to 5 children from Whiting to Leicester, rather than simply move those 3 to 5 students from Whiting to Nashby. And I was told that the preschool program at Nashby is maxed out, but I would question you, if 3 families moved in with 3 preschool children in the town of Brandon, I would suggest that there would be a way that those children would be absorbed into the preschool program. So I can't 100% buy the fact that we could not make the preschool program at Nashby work by adding 3 to 5 more children without affecting 130 children and their families. One of the other things that we talked about was communication and the appearance of a lack of communication on behalf of the board for residents, parents, and I'm wondering, of those 130 children that will be affected by this, how many of them even know this is a discussion? When we talked on Saturday, like, the only reason I found out about this at all is because I happened to go on Facebook, which I don't ever do, and saw someone had forwarded the message about this. And that's how I informed our select board chair. I doubt many people even know that this is happening or even up for discussion. I know that when the ACSD talked about downsizing Ripton School, they did a community survey. They got the question out. They talked to the community about what they were looking to have happen. I don't see any of that type of thing happening. I feel like perhaps I know that's not the intention, but perhaps it feels like a vacuum to people, like it's happening in a vacuum. And there's not any support from the community, there's not knowledge of the community. And I think that communication is huge, because when you're talking about yes, no voters and no voters, the minute you build that wall, it doesn't matter. They're going to vote no if they feel that they're not being told the truth. The task force for the state came back with not doing a map now for the district changes and wanting to do it voluntary. And so I guess the question I'm going to ask you is, shouldn't we wait to see what incentives they're going to offer before we make massive changes that affect the families of 130 children? And one of the things that they said, get it right here. One of the people that was quoted in the article was Jay Badams, who was a former or a task force member, and he was talking about this because we still don't have a clear number of what it's going to cost to even do this. What does it cost to retrofit Lester? What does it cost with all the new busing? What does it cost with the staff? What are the savings actually going to be? And he's talking about the redistricting of the state, but it seemed like an apt quote. And he said, to put a system through that much radical change for the possibility that there might be savings sure seems like a lot to ask of our communities. And so I would encourage you to think about our communities and our 130 children that we're talking about affecting and the families of those 130 children. And if we know that our return on investment on this is really worth that. Because as we talked about on Saturday, something that seems insignificant in a budget can have huge ramifications in public opinion. So if we're going to say 1% and the public perception is that we have upheaval within the school, it's not going to be worth the savings of 1%. And I don't even know what the savings are because we haven't heard numbers yet. So I think that's all I have, other than I think the Proctor thing. I think you guys should think about the Proctor thing, because these poor kids are going to be on buses their whole lives. So that's all I got, I think.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. All right. I do have a couple that I'm going to read to you guys that I received anonymously. Let's see here. This one was anonymous. It says, hello, I want to make a comment on the current discussions with the public about the proposed consolidations of OCA. After today's discussion, so they wrote this yesterday, so I'm assuming they were there on Saturday. It's very clear that the voices of the parents, teachers, and public are not going to matter to the school board. It has been made clear that the superintendent does not believe in small schools. The message that is being provided to the community between the lines is that we value your opinion, but we have already made the decision to make our school district look good by saving money. How can larger class sizes be the answer for saving money? This just runs the risk of children who need the additional help to be lost in the sea of students. More students per class means that staff will become burnt out faster and more likely to leave their positions. This then creates vacancies in the school, and while, to be honest, word of mouth of how the classes are structured will not fill those openings. Why not look at how to reduce the number of pre-kindergarten options are offered? Why do children need pre-K 3 and pre-K 4? What is the benefit of this option? If one pre-K was available to students, then there would not be a need for the program to run 5 days a week. OCA has had several fundraisers this year to support student activities. We as parents understand that some families do not have additional funds, but at the end of the day, we will do what we need to support our children. There has to be other fundraising activities that each school can do to help drive down cost, but does not break the parents' wallets. You may think that I am just a parent who is mad at this proposal. but I work for a very large, well-known company that is financially successful because they are constantly looking at the bottom line. There are always places to reduce costs within a business, and maybe starting small is where you should begin instead of cutting the level of education for our students. This one. The next one was sent through the OCA form. It says, as our district has a history of consolidation, I would like to make a suggestion. I think it would be a good idea to hold the OCA pre-K configuration until our district has a longer-term plan. Making these moves just to move again the following year is an unnecessary stress on the district and families. What is the overarching plan? A middle school at OVUHS plans to merge with Proctor. When, if that happens, it would make sense to consider the reconfiguration then, when space changes and if the need is still apparent. To reconfigure just to find that we would need to do it again or change again would be a waste of time, money, resources, and unnecessary upset in our schools and communities. Let's see, this is the third one. As our district... must be they sent it twice. Well, I'll read it anyway. As our district has a history of consolidation, I would like to make a suggestion. I think it would be wise to hold off on the reconfiguration until a future plan is made. What is the overarching goal? To build a middle school or merge with Proctor. When, if a larger plan is made and put into motion, it could make sense to come back to the reconfiguration as space will change. Reconfiguring now just to change again in the next year would just put unnecessary stress on our schools and families. Making large moves like reconfiguring a school without a longer-term plan could be a waste of time, money, resources, and cause upset in the schools and community. I think it wise to look at the longer-term plan and revisit the reconfiguration needs when there is an overall plan in motion. Keeping student education at the forefront of decision-making means providing quality and consistency. Making one larger, thoughtful, long-term reconfiguration creates more consistency for our learners rather than uprooting them and creating stress and trauma with multiple changes. The last one that I received was from Diane Benware. Let me find it here. 2 points. Number one, the media released information about the possibility of financial incentives for voluntary mergers of schools. I feel OVUHS should wait to propose the merger of OCA and Neshabie until more information about incentives is available. 2, the residents of Leicester and the parents of OCA students deserve the most accurate and detailed presentation of the budget needed to support the transition from OCA to Neshabie. All costs incurred converting the OCA building playground to meet the criteria set by Vermont AOE and the Agency of Human Services must be included. Providing adequate support personnel to maintain the level of service OCA students' parents have come to expect is crucial. In addition, quotes for materials, services, etc. should be sought from the most knowledgeable and authoritative sources, not depending solely on what the central office says or thinks. The first presentation at the school board meeting a few weeks ago left more questions unanswered than answered. Information shared at this next meeting should be reliable and thorough in order for folks to make the best possible decision. She then also wrote another one that said, the community forum in Leicester was a welcome opportunity to discuss ideas and concerns of the greater community. This opportunity should occur on a regular basis, at least annually. Hearing that the district was planning to provide transparency and detail about its activity was also welcomed and overdue. Speaking of transparency and detail, the residents of Leicester and the parents of students attending OCA deserve that emphasis on transparency and detail related to the proposed plan to merge the students in Brandon. Reliable information can assist voters in making good decisions. If voters feel that they have adequate, reliable, and reasonable information, they are more likely to support the board's endeavors. Given that very clear and detailed costs for all the facets of this transition need to be gathered and disseminated to the public in a way that makes sense for the recipients. It is not enough to take the numbers provided by the central office. Knowledgeable and credible individuals need to be involved, and their opinions and numbers must be sought and included. The latest edition of The Independent carried an article about the state considering offering financial incentives for voluntary mergers. It seems premature for OVUHS to be pursuing this avenue without waiting to get more detail about this possibility. I did write back to her. Hi, Mrs. Benware. The Act 73 incentives you speak are only regarding district mergers, not school mergers within the same district. We will provide as much info as possible, but as you're aware, some things are not always able to be predicted. We have a meeting annually where we ask our voters to come. It's called the annual meeting in February. That's a great place to have open and honest dialogues. Thank you for your comments. Please reach out with any questions you may have. So that's all I got for that. Anything else? Yep, okay. Okay. All right, so we're gonna move on. We have an EL monitoring report, it should be in your packet, 2.8, communications and support to the board. Can I get someone to make a motion to accept, please?
I move that we accept.
Thank you, Fernanda. Is there a second?
I will second that motion.
Was that Rhiannon? Thank you. All right. Discussion.
I want to let people know that there is a letter G under rationale has a broken link. It has been updated, and when this is posted on the website tomorrow again, that new link or the replacement link will be working.
Anybody have any comments, questions about the monitoring report? No?
No, it seems reasonable and fair. I read through all of it.
Okay. All right, then, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I just said I don't have any concerns.
Okay. All right, then all of those in favor of 2.8 communications and support to the board, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Perfect. Any dissent? Okay, thank you for that. At this time, it is 6:19. We are having a residency hearing at 6:30. So we are going to be moving into executive session with the board and Renee, Brenda,
Michael.
and Michael.
And maybe
Stacy?
Stacy's online.
Stacy Farrington?
I don't know how that would work.
We just would kick everybody else out of that, and they'd have to come back on.
Call her and put her on speaker.
We could do that
Oh,
too.
Natalie and
Well, yeah, Natalie and Barbara have to be on, so I think we can just kick everybody else out. All right, so I need someone to make a motion to go into executive session at 6:20.
let me see if I can
I move that we go into executive session at 6:20.
Okay, for the discussion of the residency hearing. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay,
let me see if I can do.
all right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Sorry. I forgot to tell you, Dina.
Oh, and Dina. Okay, all right.
Or do you want me to stay in case there's any special service questions?
Do you need Brian?
Yeah, I think it's probably a good idea.
All right, Brian. Debbie, you want to stay too? Sure. Okay, so we're keeping the central office staff that are here. All right, so,
Hold on, I need to.
Am I included too?
no, sorry, no, you're out. Yep, sorry. You're out. Okay, so then we're moving into executive session at 6:20. At this time, anyone who are not the people that we named need to leave, and then we'll call you back in if you want to come back in. We are going to move on, just so you know, Amber. Yeah, that's okay. Fernanda made the motion and Brett seconded to pull us out of executive session at 6:45. Okay?
No action.
And no action was taken. All right, so we are going to move on to summer facilities report and project requests. I think that's you, Brenda.
Yes. It is in your packet. My friend's gonna pull it up so I can look at it. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Renee.
Brenda's not an issue, just straight computer, so.
We're doing things a little bit differently because the world is a little bit different. There used to be a time when we could just simply report on the status of the projects we did last summer at this time of year. And then we would wait until sometime after town meeting to tell you what we wanted to do next summer. And we realized that after 2020, the world changed. Contractors were not available that early, and even if they were, supplies were not. So this is the first year we're kind of flipping it, and we're doing both at the same time. So the first report is kind of we shared our sheet with you. Green means it's done. Blue means it's in progress. Yellow means, not started, and yellow means it's in progress. So we are working on some of the things still, but we have a lot that is left undone from the summer. I think one of the other things we struggle with is the summer is only 9 weeks. And so finding contractors and finding staff in order to organize regular cleaning as well as the additional projects was a strain on our facility team. So if you kind of scoot over, I don't know if you can scoot over, Renee, keep.
That way or down?
Down.
How far down would you like for me to go?
Yeah, keep going. Now scoot over. Huh.
I can
I'm
make it
looking for
smaller.
the summary. So we had anticipated, okay, go back up a little bit. Thanks, Renee, sorry. So we had anticipated spending about $555,000 more than we were able to accomplish this summer. So some of those projects have made it onto the next list, and some of those projects were actual savings from the cost of what we had anticipated. And one of those projects is something we want you to consider funding now for us to continue working on. So those projects will continue throughout the rest of the year. And then this list that Renee is pulling up now shows what we are proposing for next year. And over on the right is really kind of our resources. So how much is in our facility fund? How much have we already committed? How much do we expect to save from the projects of last summer? And what does this proposal include? And then what would the balance be if you approved all of it? And we were reminded that BERDIT fund does exist. And there are some projects on there for you to consider whether you want to look at using the BERDIT fund. So the BERDIT fund is a generous donation by Dan D. BERDIT made for the benefit of the school in Pittsford or any union that they become a part of, but it's limited to improvements or expenditures at the Pittsford school or Lothrop. So as you can see on here, one of the things that we listed a handful of things for Lothrop. The one I would recommend you consider using BERDIT funds would be the renovations to the cafeteria bathroom. That bathroom, we have a plan that is very, very old, but would make the bathroom ADA accessible and make long needed improvements to the facilities.
What does GF mean?
General fund. So if it's GF, you'll notice there's a 0 in the estimated cost. That's because it will not be covered with the facility fund. But they are projects that you have heard us talking about, so we wanted to make you aware that we haven't forgotten them. They are on the list. So we're asking a couple of things of you tonight. One, we're asking you to approve this list of projects. And I'm happy to answer any questions that I can about them. We will then begin the bidding process for those that require a bid. One of the biggest projects on here is updated PA system at Otter Valley, which an existing sort of pre-quote is quite high and would require a bid process. So we would start the bidding process if we find out that the estimates that we have put on this list are wrong, then we'll come back to you with updates and adjustments before we move forward, as long as they're within reason, right? So like if they're $1,000 off, we'll move forward, but if they're $15,000, $20,000 off, we're not going to. So we're asking you to approve this list and for you to make a recommendation as to whether you want to consider some, all, or none of the Lothrop projects to be funded with the Dan-D Burdett funds. If you choose to fund some, there's a process we have to go through. The donation came with a restriction that both the select board and the school board of Pittsford had to approve the purchases. That was his way of assuring that it was a valuable investment if both bodies agreed. With the merger of Act 46, our board became bigger and wasn't just a town school board anymore. So we have gone to court twice to determine how to be true to the trust and act, and also be able to use the fund. And this is the mechanism that they agreed on. We have to have a majority vote of Otter Valley and a unanimous vote of the Pittsford members of Otter Valley. And then they would bring it to the Pittsford Select Board, usually with the board chair, and the Pittsford Select Board also has to have a unanimous vote. Assuming that that is all happening, then the Burdett Fund will pay for it. So we do have some projects, just to give you a little history about the Burdett Fund, that are currently funded with the Burdett Fund. And those are annual debt services that come out of the Burdett Fund. But we have not asked for any new projects since we merged under Act 46.
Not true. We asked for the money for the lights for the
I
football.
was thinking
Oh, we
that.
did? You're
Yeah, I
right.
was
I
thinking
forgot about
that,
the
yeah.
lights.
Yep,
So the lights for the football, and that was just last year.
yes.
Yep.
But other than that, we haven't really gone to that fund.
Does the town use the,
Burdett Fund?
no, the facility that the bathroom would be in?
Oh.
Would it be something that they,
Oh,
Like
because
in
I
the
used the word
summer,
town hall
yeah,
building?
I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
That's a misnomer. So we all call it the town hall building. It is not. It is the
the front
school
part.
gymnasium.
but it doesn't
An
use that
auditorium.
community for anything?
They might use it from time to time,
the summer
but
they
just
use
like
it.
they
Yeah.
use it for,
Fairs and
Yeah.
stuff, just like.
I just wondered, because that would sell it more, right? Like if it were-
Usually, as long as it's for the school building,
Yeah.
it usually goes through.
yes.
We did have a fight about a sidewalk that we were not willing to fund, and they got mad at us. Oh, yeah, I can,
It's me, sorry.
oh, over there? Oh, sorry, I thought he was talking about, yes.
This, the Burdett Fund, is it a fund, a trust that generates in and of itself, it grows?
Yeah, I mean, it's an investment fund, just like the Ely Fund that Brandon has or Neshabie has. So that is solely for the use of that school.
So it's,
Well, for the benefit of Pittsford.
Right,
children,
right, that,
Because we
Yeah.
did use it here.
Yeah,
right?
for the lights.
that's true, it's for the
Brenda
benefit of
said it had
Pittsburgh
to be in
children.
Lothrop, but that's not really true.
That's
Right.
true, as long as it's for the
Proportionate,
benefit
yeah.
of, right.
and so it's something that we want to use, that wants to be used sort of in a thoughtful manner. We don't want,
Right.
we don't want to drain it entirely, and we want to use it in a way that makes it as sustainable as possible.
It's got over $1 million in it, I think
I think
we're,
it's got over $3 million.
there you go, so see, there you go.
Which
It's
I
well
love,
more than
I
most
love
systems.
that number.
Yeah.
But in the grand scheme of school districts and facilities and stuff,
We've been very careful about not overusing it. So the one thing that it is using right now is the boiler system payment every year. And we can only take so much out of it anyway. So small projects are okay, but we've never gone and said, hey, we want to take it all. Because
So it's-
I think that's why the select board in Pittsford and us have to approve it.
so it seems like projects like a redo a bathroom
Yeah.
is fitting as opposed to double the size of the school.
So if we did something like double the size of the school, I'm sorry, I'm trying to think of a time when that would happen.
I'm in theoretical land.
But in theoretical lane, or like when we did the biomass improvement, we do a major project, we're going to probably bond for it. And then we still ask the Burdett Fund, we may still ask the Burdett Fund to cover it, but we ask them to cover it through annual debt payments. And that's how they have been distributing money to us right now. There are two outstanding.
It gives it more opportunity to regenerate.
Exactly, instead of pulling it all down, we do get, municipal borrowing rates, which are very favorable and often lower than what the investors can make by investing the funds.
Thank you for that.
Sure. And we usually do have a report on the Burdett Fund once a year. You just weren't here for it, so that's okay. You'll be here next year, maybe.
But you're not looking at the Ely Fund for anything like that?
The Ely Fund falls under different rules.
Okay.
And the Ely Fund actually has a policy. So the Burdett Fund is managed by the Pittsford Town of Trustees. And they manage the investment policy and the rules for withdrawal, in addition to what Dan D. Burdett put on. The Ely Fund is a different fund. It falls under a different type of investment. We have an investment policy that says how much we withdraw from it every year. You're taxing me in my memory, but I think it's 5%.
And that goes to what?
The general fund.
Okay.
And it is earmarked towards the biomass project at Neshabie, because we did 3 biomass projects within 2 years, Otter Valley, Lothrop, and Neshabie. And so that helps support the debt service payment on their biomass investment.
And that investment, the Ely Fund was in danger of going bye-bye, so it has rejuvenated itself in the last few years. So we have not gone and really tried to take any money out of it. Right? Okay. All right, so she's looking, is there other questions regarding this? Because she is looking for us to make a motion. So actually, why don't we get a motion on the
I
floor?
got a couple questions before we do that.
Okay.
So that we're clear.
Yep.
Is there, I'm assuming the 200,000 you put Burdett Fund on specifically, like if we weren't gonna fund everything, that would be the one you wanted to fund?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I think that's just my bias. I think it should be something meaningful and something, significant versus replacing a floor or.
I agree, and I think the general fund should also cover some of that. I mean, it should be, if the Burdett Fund pays for all of the updates at Lothrop, that becomes an extra burden for the Pittsford people to pay for.
Except they don't. Right.
But they don't. There's been lots of things that we've done with general funds in the past without even going to the Burdett Fund for Lothrop.
Right. And it should continue to be that way.
Well, yeah, and
there
it
can
has
be an
been.
additional things that come out of the Burdett Fund, but,
Right now, it's 50/50, more or less.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But the other, right, the other question is, very little of this comes out of the general fund. All of it is actually
Correct.
balance,
Correct.
fund balance.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the
Well-
bottom line, or that column that has estimates in, we are asking to come out of the facility fund. Anything that you choose to take out of the Burdett Fund will just, you'd still be approving it. We'd still have to do the next step, which would be put it on a warning for the next meeting
Right.
our second meeting for the full board, for the full Pittsford contingents to vote on it. And then we would go to the select board. If the select board, if for some reason it didn't pass, then we'd come back and say, you would have already said, yes, we approve this in theory. And we want you to go to the select board or to the Burdett Fund for this amount.
What was your second question?
Oh, well, I think she kind of just answered it. It was kind of a comment. We couldn't vote on it anyway because
Okay.
Paul's not here, but
Oh, yeah, we wouldn't vote on that tonight
Yeah.
anyway, Burdett Fund use. Okay. Okay, so other questions before we have a motion? All right, does someone want to make a motion?
I move that we approve the summer facility fund project request.
All right, which is $1.785 million?
Yes.
Out of the facility funds?
Yeah, yes,
For summer projects in 2026.
yes.
I'll
Is there a
second that
second?
motion.
All right, that's Leslie. Okay. All those in favor? Or is there any discussion about that before we go further? Because it sounds like there is.
clarifying question. That 1.785 includes the 200,000.
Which she just said if we use Burdett Fund money, we're approving it. So
Okay.
even if Burdett Fund monies doesn't happen, we could still use this money to make it happen.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Or you can decide to.
Or you can
redo
decide to,
this motion.
right.
Okay. Well, would we do that project if we don't get the money?
That, you could decide that question.
Okay.
Yeah. So, okay,
Okay, then I'm good.
all right. Gabe,
Do these numbers align with what was budgeted?
there is no budget
This
for
is the budget.
This is the facility fund.
This matches
So,
what our planning and everything from before I was here. And
no,
the
so
budget and
listen,
all that stuff.
facility fund, if, on that first page of the facility fund document, in the right-hand corner, it shows you what the facility fund balance is. That is a fund that is not part of the budget at all.
Okay.
Okay? So there's currently, with the savings from the summer, $4.3 million plus in there.
And that's
So
money
we,
that-
right, so she's proposing to use, right,
See fit.
and we never, ever empty it out.
Okay.
So even if we used all 1.75 million, there'd still be 2.55 million in
And
there.
this won't affect the overall budget that is
Nope.
coming or has
Nope.
already been in the past
Nope.
and all of that?
Nope,
Just-
no, because facility funds can only be used for the facilities. We can't use it to buy down the budget, we can't use it to do any of that kind of stuff.
These are numbers that have already been, money that has already been moved out of the.
Right.
Yeah,
Out of
Yep.
the budget and into this account, and this is pulling out of the account.
You got it,
you got it.
Right on,
fair enough?
proceed.
Okay.
It's the savings account.
No, well, it's a good question. I mean, it is a good question, so,
It's the savings.
you know, some of us who've
I'm
done
trying
this
to build
for,
away from my ignorance and
No, this is good.
step towards.
fair enough. Any other questions? All right, all those in favor of the motion for summer projects of 1.785 million out of the facility fund, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, facility fund and project requests approved.
Laura, I have one other request that I think was buried in the notes that I want to bring to your attention. So, when we did the gym, PA system upgrade, we got a bid to actually add some improvements. That was, $23,000 higher than the budget allotment of $10,000. We are confident with the overall PA system that you just approved for the future, that any improvements we make in the gym now would be connectable, that you can make some standalone improvement and still have overall continuity. We would like you to consider authorizing us to use $23,000 of some of this last summer's summer savings to implement that now as we head into the gym season.
So that will change the figure we just approved.
It
Well,
will
it's an
not,
addition.
because the figure you just approved is for next summer. I'm asking you whether you would consider approving another $23,000 of this summer's surpluses,
Which is already here.
but that number isn't final. Because that number also doesn't include any transfers that we might make into the fund this year from any operating surpluses.
Okay.
So that's just an estimate, literally as of today.
Okay.
Okay, so, did everybody understand that? Okay, I think this is what she said. She said that there was a PA system that they wanted to do in the gym last year, and they had $10,000 for it. However, the quote that they got also was for other items around it, which is an additional $23,000. So what she is asking is that on that sheet, there, it shows the summer savings of 555,000 plus, and she's asking us to use 23,000 of those summer savings to finish this PA system for the gym.
Please.
So is there a motion for that?
Do we feel that those extras are beneficial? I don't know what the extras are.
Well, yep, go ahead, Michael.
Maybe I should know what the.
That's a good question. The 10,000 that we had that we asked you to authorize and you did over the plan for this past summer was not a quote that wasn't like a quote we had in hand that was our best estimate. As we've gotten the quote, material costs are higher. Further discussion, one of our goals is to be able to split sound to both sides of the gym, which is important when we're running multiple phys ed classes in there. You can imagine the noise in the house of noise when you have 40 students and to run multiple basketball practices. So we want to be able to equip our phys ed teachers and our coaches with like portable mics, amplification. So the project will at least, if we're going to move forward with it, would cost at least 25, 26,000. Those upgrades I just described to you are what are bringing us up to 32, 33,000. So in other words, the project cannot be done for the 10,000 that we had originally requested. For me,
Does that make sense?
the upgrades are worth it. The challenge of teaching phys ed, multiple classes with, what we know is a challenging set of acoustics in our gym is significant, and it's something that we regularly see and hear from our phys ed teachers. Just that alone is worth it to me.
And there's some semblance of confidence that this will overcome those challenges?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that's
the way they
different than
point
the
the speakers.
350,000 PA.
I'm sorry,
That's different
it's in addition to.
in addition to the 350,000.
The 350,000 is a school-wide
School-wide
PA
PA.
system.
And honestly, that's a quote that may have included the gym. It's just a quote. It still would need to be bid out. So it could be, and we're looking at doing it in the future, so it could be completely different.
Okay.
Okay, so now, yes. Do you have a question? I'm looking at you. Yep. Okay, I'm looking at you. Okay, so is there a motion?
Sure. I move that.
23,000 out of the facility fund?
23,000 for to make my husband would be happy.
Okay.
To make the gym teachers happy,
And the coaches.
and the coaches.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Kevin? Okay. All right, any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor of using 23,000 of our facility fund savings from the summer of 25 for use in the for the use of,
Now. For use now.
for use now, please signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. School merger analysis, continued discussion. So, this past weekend, Renee had 2 public forums, one at Whiting. We had 2 people from the town show up, other than people from the district or board members. And then we also had a public forum in Leicester at noon, where we had, I think it was 5, maybe 6 people from the towns. Other than that, there were 4 board members there, and people from the district. Patrick Binder was there. Tina Roche was there. We had a teacher come. So, and they gave us feedback on the proposed school merger. Do you want to take it from there? I don't know if I want to. Anyway, I'll let you.
Sure, and so many of the concerns that we heard mimicked the concerns that we heard at the board meeting that we held a couple of weeks ago. And so I'm very thankful that the people were able to come out and share their concerns, because as was mentioned earlier, that we do need to continue listening, that we do need to be able to provide information that when available, we are able to, whether it's monetary or if it's more of a systems approach where we're able to define what we're attempting to accomplish, not only for our students, but also for our taxpayers. I think that's kind of the concern that we have. And I know that we'll talk a little bit more about Act 73 in a little bit. But with the Act 73, right now, we don't know what the next steps are, but we do know that we have students coming to school tomorrow and the next day and next year. And so we need to make sure that we're planning for when they are in our classrooms, and as they move on from our classrooms. And so that gets us to the point where we're still talking today, and we're still having a discussion about what this board would need to see from the administration in order for you to be able to make an informed decision. And so that's kind of where we are today.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, Brett.
Maybe I'm way off here. I was thinking that we as members shouldn't go to these forums, because don't we get into a sticky situation if there's too many board members there where it becomes an informal meeting?
It's just a public forum, and it's not like we're making decisions at that board meeting. So if you want to come, you should be there. And we're not making decisions, but it's almost like the annual meeting where we go, and we're listening to our public, and that's what we need to be able to do. And we should not go just because we're afraid that we're going to meet a quorum of people, because I think it's important that our community sees us and hears us, especially since I keep hearing the word transparency, transparency, transparency. And that's what, and I will say that Lester said that, we have a new communications director this year, who's done a fabulous job of putting everything out on Instagram, Facebook, a front porch forum, all those things. And what I heard on Saturday was, sorry, we don't do any of that, send it in the mail. Which is kind of funny because, and I shouldn't say funny, but that drives costs up because mailing things to everyone is costly. But no, I think you need to be there. I think if it's important for you to hear other people's thing, I mean, we only had 7 or 8 people total.
Well, I understand that, but I mean, respectfully, I feel like that puts us in an awkward position. If we feel like we need to get community feedback, then put more actual meetings on the schedule in those locations and let's get community feedback. But to say it's an informal thing, and then if by chance so many board members show up that all of a sudden it becomes a public meeting, like that, I'm not sure we're going about it the right way.
Okay. Well,
I also think that our annual report has, contact information in it, and so citizens who want to be proactive need to study that report, use it, and use the contact information that's in that report, and should not be complaining after the fact. They're all getting that in the mail. They need to use it and read it.
well, so there's a feeling that this is, there is a feeling in Leicester anyway, and maybe for those school families at Leicester, that this is kind of fast, and probably feels that way. I mean, we kind of were talking about it last spring a little bit, but at the time we weren't planning on doing anything because Whiting had debt on it at that point, and I think I said this in the forum. That debt has now since been repaid over the summer because that bond was reconfigured, and we were asked, since it was such a small amount, if we wanted to pay for it right now or if we wanted to just pay it off and be done with it. The administration chose to just pay it and be done with it, which is good for us because now we have this building that is debt-free. Doesn't mean we have to do anything at this moment. There's lots of ways we can go about doing things. We can leave things as they are for the next year. But we are going to continue, I think, to see declining enrollment. I think that Act 73, even though it imploded, and we'll talk about that later, is not going to go away either. It might go away in Act 73, but it might come back as Act 74. Who knows?
73.2.
Right. So those are all things that we have to consider as we go forward. And yes, it is important that we keep our families informed. I understand Julie's comment about that their school in Leicester is the only thing other than their town hall, but the same thing can be said for Sudbury and Whiting, who have already lost their schools. So, and I don't want to make that, I don't want to say that like blasé, because I don't mean it blasé, but at some point, something is going to have to happen, and it may not be this year, maybe a couple of years down the road, but we as board members have to be cognizant of that fact and just keep moving forward, keeping that information in the back of our mind. Because at some point, as much as a small school is nice, we may not be able to sustain it. That's all I'm saying. And as far as savings, I don't know that we can really look at it just from cost savings, because I want us to be looking at it, what is best for the kids. And maybe what's best for the kids is leaving them where they are right now. But I don't know that that's true either. So, anyway, just my 2 cents.
I think the other piece that we've discussed before too is, while we have a great many constituents within the school district, we also have a large number of constituents outside of the district. And as the constituents understand that we are wrestling with these issues within the school district of how to provide a quality education to students that's substantially equal, not only within our school district, but across what you might find at other school districts across the state. They need to know that we're wrestling with those things before we issue them a budget that we'd like for them to vote on. Because if we're saying, nope, we just want you to re-vote on everything that we've done in the past, and we didn't really look at anything, I don't know if the voters, especially after the last 2 budget votes that we've had, would find that acceptable. So I think it's important for them to know that we're wrestling with these issues.
Gabe, I saw your hand up.
Mine is kind of a thought that came to me, and I don't know how far it's worth going down this rabbit hole, but a lot of the discussions I've been hearing has been about what gets closed when we consolidate. And then some of the conversations, or if we consolidate, some of the conversations have been about, like, what are the impacts of the schools that would absorb those kids and those teachers and whatever resources were moved around because of that. And then we talk some about that might be this year, next year, 2 years from now, when that, just say one of those schools may move and join Neshabie, for instance. Do we want to talk more about, in that interim, creating a more resilient Neshabie that is more prepared to receive a larger group of kids? Not whole hog, not make it ready for an additional 60 kids, but are there steps that we should be thinking about that may be steps towards being able to better absorb that future?
So here's what I want to say to that, and all of our schools should be more than prepared to take on additional kids, because in the fairness of equity and equality, we should all be giving the same education to every single kid that's in our schools. So I don't want to say that we need to make Neshabie more robust, as in like ready to take additional kids, because they should already be able to be prepared to do that, just like Leicester should be able to do that if they got extra kids coming in. Does that make sense? Am I not going down the same rabbit hole you are?
Maybe not, and I may not be stating what I'm thinking clearly,
Okay.
but, you know, there was some discussion about how those classrooms at Neshabie would be moved around.
Oh, sure.
More the practical boots on the ground kind of, do we need to?
Facilities-wise.
Well, facilities-wise is part of it, but also the staffing that supports those pieces. You may, if you needed one extra teacher, I'm making this, I don't know.
Oh, right, so that's we would leave that to Renee to do that. I mean, he would need to be, we could direct him to figure out what that would look like if you wanted.
Like if the
that's
future
not our
needs 3 and we add 1 that could do
Right.
this, it's a step in the right direction towards what could be coming. It could be a benefit in the meantime, and it could allow for some rearrangement of how those classes are set up, either programmatically or physically, to lead towards what we might be seeing. This could be not necessary, but the overall concept that I'm trying to bring up is, we're talking about what goes away, and it may be down the road. It's often prudent to plan where that goes,
Well,
even if it's not going to be tomorrow.
Right, sure. Well, I mean, I think we're always going to have to keep, this is always going to have to be in our, in our mirrors going forward. It's going to have to be in our front mirror or our windshield, knowing that this might have, I can't think tonight, sorry. Fernanda, go ahead.
You hear the Annie music.
Yes, I do, I'm sorry. Tomorrow.
It needs to be in our high
Yeah.
beam.
Okay.
No, so actually, I'm building on what you just said. One thought that just occurred to me as you were talking is, for example, are there in-between steps, right? So one of the in-between steps is the idea of the Whiting building. And what that, if we're looking at 2 or 3 kids going into preschool, I'm also thinking of what Julie said, you know, we say that the preschool program at Neshabie is full. How can that expand so that they could take those kids and then the building goes away, but Lester stays right now? You know, like it doesn't, we're not disrupting, we're not doing the switch. We're not doing the preschool to Whiting, you know, to Lester, the Lester to
I don't think
Neshabie.
there's only 3 though next year. I really don't. I think there's more kids than that.
But I guess the thing that I'm saying is that is there an in-between step of creating more preschool opportunity in the programs that already are here to absorb the Whiting preschool kiddos so that that building is the one that goes away?
So what?
I'm just playing with your
Yeah.
thoughts.
And
Okay.
it's part of my thought, and this is only based in a recent member who's just doing little math problems in my head, is if we're maxed at, I don't know if it's 2 preschool rooms, and they're full, does the interim step for us maybe explore the opportunity of how do we get to 3 who are, all 3 of them are mediocre, that adds a teacher or a staff member, but it creates a pre-existing world that isn't unnecessarily burdensome or, you know, creating too thin a class size
Room for growth.
at Neshabie, but allows for some growth. And that seems like, maybe that's not the exact example, but if we take that, are heading in those directions, things that make sense now that would allow us to more easily make a transition if it were to come.
Wasn't one of the
And/or persuade the parents
proposals,
to
the
agree.
individual proposals closing Whiting?
Just closing Whiting, yes. That was one of the things that could be
What was the
standalone.
plan to do with the kids if that proposal was taken up?
It would be in UPK. They would be able
Would
to.
use the UPK.
Yeah, we-
Yeah, they would use the UPK.
They would get
We wouldn't
vouchered.
have-
Vouchers, okay.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have to necessarily place them. They would have
But there's potential
options.
for us having to
Or
tell
they
kids
could-
in district, use your voucher elsewhere.
Right, yeah, that we don't have
Right.
room. Right, there,
Right.
that is the potential which we
Well, we
don't
do
want
have out-of-district kids going to our preschools.
True, and we also have lots of kids that are using the voucher outside as well.
Is there priority for in-district kids? If you're-
Usually for our programs, yes.
I think they only get a couple days though, right, or something like that? It's a short window.
It's the 10-hour, right?
Well, no,
The UPK.
actually, we have 12 hours for our 3-year-olds and we have 18 hours for our 4-year-olds. So we're well above the 10-hour minimum.
The voucher. yeah.
Yep.
Can somebody explain the Caverly building a little bit to me? Like,
It's a building out in the woods in Pittsford. No, I'm just
Pretty
kidding.
much.
what is the community,
It's like
what is
behind
the
the town hall.
community, like, I don't.
All right,
ask
we'll
you
let
to
Brett
speak for your
answer
whole
that question.
community, but
Well,
Pittsford.
yeah, it's a one-room schoolhouse out behind the town hall between there and the haunted house. It's an outdoor preschool program, or conceptually, that's what it's supposed to be. I don't know. I mean,
And it's UPK approved, right?
yeah,
It's licensed.
All of our
Yeah.
programs are.
Yeah.
yeah.
What is the capacity? Do we know?
15,
Because that's based on the
Per session,
License.
Yeah.
the teacher.
right.
And is
They do
that
2
capacity
sessions,
right
right, so it's,
30.
yeah.
A potential of 30.
Yeah, they can take up to 30
now? Oh,
kids.
they have 15 now. 15 is the current.
No,
it's 2 sessions.
15.
There's
Every
2
day.
sessions, there's 15
Oh,
every
I-
other day, so they
Yeah.
can take up to 30 kids.
But not at
15
the same time. 15
No.
at any given
Right.
time.
Right. 15 3-year-olds twice a week, and then 15 4-year-olds 3
And
days
it's
a week.
operating
It
at
is
that
true that
capacity right now?
the preschool
Yes.
world is not super flexible in regards to like
No.
how
No.
many, you know, what area you need per kid and.
Right.
I know,
Yeah.
I'm building one now. It's, I'm running across all this stuff. It's like, wow, I
It's
did
not
not know that that
Okay,
was a
so you
dangerous
know.
thing.
All right.
Distance from the bathroom, no,
Yeah.
lots of.
Blind
things.
spots and,
Right. Well, that's why I'm thinking, when Julie says, can you add, space for just 3 families? I don't think it's just 3 families, though.
No, but I guess what I'm thinking, right, where I'm going is that I think that there are interim steps to the big decision, that maybe we can make an interim step in, that's one thought.
and in
Kind
that,
of
I
shoulder
feel
to
like.
toe in the water instead of jumping straight in.
I
Right,
feel like part of my genesis of this conversation was like, that could be a benefit to the community that it's serving.
Sure. Neshabe will tell you that they're full though right now and they don't have any empty classrooms. So that's something we'd have to figure out. But Brett, I saw your hand up.
Yeah, I hear that, and I understand logically why it might be a good idea to take some of those baby steps. The problem is we almost might be better off to do nothing if we're not ready to make a serious commitment, because the only way to really get financial savings is to address the Leicester piece. I mean, $30,000 is really not going to amount to that much, just closing Whiting or Caverly or whatever. So if we are looking to make some meaningful adjustment to our taxpayers, that's not going to cut it.
And I will continue to argue that taking preschool kids and putting them in Leicester is going to be hugely costly.
I don't think so.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
playground, buildings, getting
So
that.
we looked at the
you know.
playground actually on Saturday. They have that play structure out back is beautiful.
They don't have a fenced-in area.
Oh, well, sure, we'd have
They
to
don't
fence it in.
And that structure is not for 3 to 5-year-olds. The structure is for 5 to and
We
above.
have in the past converted structures so that they are safe for
Yeah.
children. And it isn't scrapping the whole thing and starting over. There are ways to do it that might be blocking off a slide or be blocking off a climbing wall. And then, as we have in all of our sites, we don't just build a preschool playground. We build it piece by piece, year
Right.
by year.
Are we investigating what those costs might be? Is there a consultant or somebody, I don't know, how do we get a number?
Well, we've done this before. We did this at Whiting. Whiting was a K-6 playground, and we worked with child care licensing to make the right alterations to the playground in order to meet child care licensing. It was a nominal cost. It was not an expensive cost. They already had a fence, so that was one step easier. Leicester would definitely need a fence. We could get the cost of a fence because that would probably be your most expensive cost, is a fence.
What were some of those costs shared with ARK?
Not originally, no. We took
No.
care of that.
No, because it had a preschool before
Yeah.
ARK came on. It would help me think about it if the child development came and did a walkthrough.
Well, I also
and
want to
assessed the
remind you
building.
that it was a child care center. We did provide after-school care there. It has been licensed in the past.
Different regulations than preschool regulations.
But they also had a preschool there too. You do
Yeah.
remember that. And we had a pre-KK. And so I don't think it's a,
Just my experience is that the regulations have changed since those days, and I feel like it would be really important to do a walkthrough and get a report that says, these are the things that you would need to do in order to be licensed.
Yeah, there's anecdotal, which is what we're discussing
Right.
now, however experienced it may be.
Right.
However accurate it may end up being, the final decision
It would
need
help
to be
also the
provided
community.
by a professional that does that.
well, the one
Whoever
thing we
does
don't want
that
to do is
system.
do that
Licensing
during
office.
school.
We may not want to do that
School
right now,
No,
but
no,
at some
I
point.
just meant we don't want to do it during
No,
school
we can do it
day.
over vacation.
And so
vacation.
until we have that data, it's just anecdotal, and it probably would be close, but we need that liability to be on whoever makes those decisions to say whether it's an architect or an engineer or a
Well, the
consultant that
licensing office is
specializes in
ultimately-
licensing or a state member, whatever.
What about other features too? I don't know what the preschool rooms at Neshabe look like or Whiting, but I know like at Caverly, there's some unique play spaces that are, there's a loft, there's like a little cubby area. They're kind of unique, right? Are there other things like that, other places that would be a loss to the
Leicester
community?
has one. Leicester has one in their kindergarten classroom currently. A loft.
And just like the Caverly one, they were built honestly by parents
Yeah. Okay.
and maybe a board member who knows building.
And those
And-
can be as well.
Don't look at
Yes,
me.
it can be a
She
blessing.
looked at you
and a curse,
first.
In a challenge.
But those things do mean something to the community, right? So if there are those unique things,
Well, there's actually a loft, I think it's in the kindergarten.
It's in the kindergarten
At-
room.
At OCA.
Yeah.
So, and there's a big
built by the
difference,
teachers.
as we've discussed, between preschool, pre-K, and kindergarten. just because these things exist doesn't mean that they are within compliance for what a new space
Or
would
that
need
they
to
make
live
a
up to.
program. So, that's
I
the.
do know when the kindergarten one was built in OCA, because I was here then, it did meet licensing, and I know that Caverly's meets licensing.
Current licensing
Oh, yeah.
for the kids that are in that space?
Yeah, well, Caverly would have to.
I don't know, so. I know that there's some strict regulations around the younger and younger you get.
In the Caverly building, everything is already up to licensing, or else we wouldn't have a preschool there.
But
And-
there's probably a level, and this comes from my construction world more, but I'm getting into this because I'm building one now, is there's a big, there's grandfathering in that they're okay with saying that we continue to license this, we allow it to keep happening. I'm not saying that's happening here, I'm just saying that's a thing that happens a lot. But if you do a new thing, or you do so much of a new thing, everything has to meet current
Right.
requirements, which may not allow that sort of structure, or that sort of environment, which was previously allowed to come through. And then that's a piece that becomes a bigger project.
So
And I
what-
don't know if we reach any of those thresholds.
So what I'm hearing is that you would like a pre-K licensing, someone from pre-K licensing to come in and do a walkthrough of the Lester building.
A consultant of some sort to give us,
Yeah,
at some
the
point, it may not be
licensing
now,
would
it may just be.
The start. And then once the licensing says these things would have to happen in order for this building to be a preschool building, and we're not talking classroom, right? We're talking building. So a preschool building, then we can do a cost analysis of what that means.
And I
Brenda?
So I'm hearing a couple of things, and I'm going to throw something out that you may decide is ridiculous or not, but I'm going to do it anyways. I'm hearing, we can have licensing come in. Hopefully, they can come in on our schedule, and they do that for free. I am hearing you say, let's dip our toe in to a merger, and let's go all in. And so I'm wondering if licensing is there, to consider both options. And dipping your toe in might mean something like taking a classroom at Lester and making it preschool, and then deciding if there's a class at Lester that should move to Neshabie. I will tell you or remind you that current 5th grade, or next year's 6th grade, has 6 students.
So what you're saying is to move the pre-K from Whiting to Lester, but move the 6th grade to Neshabie.
Right. That might be an example of Fernanda's words, dip your toe in. You would then have a pre-K through 5 Lester, Sudbury, and Whiting program at Lester. You would decide what you wanted to do with the Whiting building. The Caverly conversation, standalone conversation. Merging 6 students into Neshabie is a lot easier than merging 65 students into Neshabie.
Can I just,
Yeah.
the other interesting conversation that we had, that I heard on Saturday, was that, or what I came to was, you're only going to have approximately 30 kids in that whole building every other day. Different 30 kids.
Probably, maybe. Depends.
Depends on enrollment and all
Right.
that.
Well, it depends on enrollment. It also depends on if we decided to do some
Neshabie.
other things, like if at some point we wanted to do a full day 4-year-old program, that would mean that 4-year-olds would be there every day, 3-year-olds would be there twice a week at the same time, potentially. Also could mean that, yes, we have 30 kids in the school every day, but they're there all day long with pre-K wraparound, or like Boys and Girls Club coming in and offering that so that parents can work till 5, which is important to a lot of people. So there's that as well.
So that's without moving the Neshabie kids.
No, that would be with
Preschool-
moving.
With the moving the preschool kids, okay.
Yep.
There's 2 classes at Neshabie,
There's 2 classrooms, yes. There's a 3-year-old classroom and there's a 4-year-old classroom.
and we weren't going to shift the Whiting program to Leicester?
Yes, we were. We
So
were.
would that be 45 kids?
No, because currently, the 4-year-olds that are moving out, all of the 3-year-olds that are currently at Whiting, well, one of them is actually from Brandon, so they
Go to
might,
Nashville.
right, so they'd probably go to Neshmi. The other 3 are out of district and may not follow. But we could have kids that want to go to the preschool in Leicester that would be 3-year-olds next year.
But if it was a
But we don't
UPK
know that.
program, it could be anybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, Brandon is also, isn't the Parent-Child Center moving out of Brandon?
They are?
I think so. I think they're moving to Pittsford.
Oh, eventually, yeah, there's some, there's, yeah, they're moving.
Are they moving or doing a summer?
Next year, I think.
Oh, I thought it was another one, not a move.
It could be. I don't know.
I don't think so. I don't know. I read something, but I think you might be right, Brett, that they were gonna have the big preschool at
The farm.
at the farm, and then that may make them move out of Brandon.
The other thing that I gathered from listening was that there's just a lot of distrust from voters. Distrust in numbers that are too vague and don't specify anything.
Well, I
Didn't we hear that over and over?
I agree, and that's like reading the room, kind of, whether that's really systemic or if that's just,
The
Sure.
6 people that were there.
But I mean,
a few,
Right.
but part of that, with that, where I was pushing for data and things like that, distrust, whether it's meant towards they feel that we are being dishonest or just that they don't want to believe our anecdotal figurings, the more that we get into this and it's hard data from someone else, that helps build the trust in the information because it's not from us to some extent. I think it's steps towards
Right now, you're
creating-
getting a lot of pushback because they just don't want it to leave, and so they'll make
think that's a big
because one of the things that they all said to us on October 21st was, "Don't do anything because we want to see what Act 73 does." Well, Act 73 just imploded, and now they're still saying don't do anything.
Yeah, but I think it's more than that. It's more
So-
than that.
Well-
Lori, I don't think that's a fair
Yeah.
assessment of the people.
Well, and I'm not saying that, but I also want to say that, sometimes when you do something to a community or they're going to find any way to push back and say, we do not want this. That's my point.
It almost feels like
Go ahead, Kevin.
There's a parallel, right, between what's happening at the state level with Act 173, like you're saying, like imploding, and what's being discussed in this district. You have people that are indicating that these kinds of consolidations don't actually get at what's driving costs, which is like healthcare and things like
Well,
that.
I think what they're saying is consolidating supervisory unions doesn't drive down costs to a it's sort of
Right,
like
that's why I'm
closing
saying
Whiting,
parallel
right?
or
It doesn't
not,
do
right.
enough.
Yeah.
If you want to drive down costs, you have to consolidate schools. That's the only thing that's going to move the needle.
I think if the same kinds of drivers of cost continue to be in play, that you might get some savings initially, but eventually those are going to be overtaken by the other cost drivers that are going up. And if people are not addressing those kinds of concerns, like the legislature or the governor, then why should we take that step? If they're not doing their part to address what the real issue is, why is it that kids are always the ones that have to take the hit? You know what I'm saying? For me, we're talking about moving Brandon preschool to Leicester. Have we considered whether or not Brandon kids would be able to go to Leicester? Would the families be able to put them there? So, I mean, I'm sure a lot of them will, but it's always the people that are vulnerable who end up not being accounted for and suffering.
they are the least represented,
Right.
so that they don't carry as many votes, and this is why we talk so much about from the no votes.
Right.
There's more people in our district without kids to advocate for themselves versus the number of people who have kids who are advocating for the kids.
And there's one more piece that I'm just getting a little concerned about, is that we are putting so many eggs in the Lester basket right now without knowing that it will save any money at all. And we're not having conversations about what other budget drivers there are that may bring our budget to a place where voters will vote for it. Because we're putting all the energy into this conversation. And I just feel like, you know, if we don't do this, then what are we going to do? And even if we do this, does that really impact the budget? So, you know, I think that at some point, we need to start talking about all the other things that we are thinking about in regards to the budget.
So I would say that's because we are trying to be transparent. If we had started this conversation at our next meeting when we actually start talking about the budget, and saying that we need to make a decision starting in December rather than starting in October like we did, it would have been a complete and total non-starter. And so this is
Agreed.
why it's so painful, is because we're trying to get out in front of it and provide people the opportunity to discuss it in board meetings, in community meetings, in faculty meetings, and as often as possible. And that's why we're talking about it right now, before we get to the point where we're talking about it with the numbers that you'll see at our next several meetings.
Natalie, I see your hand up.
I feel like we're going over things that we've talked about for a very long time, and we're going in circles. And I feel like all the things that we're talking about really depend on the big question, do we want to do the middle school model or not? We felt that that was what was best for our children. And if that is what we need to do, that then carries all the steps behind it. So we move sixth graders over to the middle school, and then that moves lesser kids. And I don't know if the baby steps are worth it, to be honest. I want to make the hard choice. Do we want to do a middle school model or not? And then we need to push forward with that. Otherwise, we're just going to keep talking in circles like we are right now. And once we make that decision, that's when we can start doing the real work. But we're not doing any work other than just going back and forth. So I said my piece, and that's how I feel about this.
Thanks, Natalie.
To go back to what Renee said before, the only thing I would argue is if we had had this conversation starting last April or whenever it was first brought up.
We wouldn't have had this conversation now if we hadn't paid off the debt in the summer. That's why it didn't start happening in April. It's the only reason we probably didn't have it really starting earlier than what it did.
But just from an outside viewpoint,
Right,
transparency, this doesn't look transparent.
Well, but that's that's the fact, though. I guess that's the thing.
No,
And
I understand.
so that's about as transparent as I can get about that.
This has been transparent, though. This has been transparent. We have been talking about the middle school model for years. So when people come in because they're upset because we're talking about a step in the middle school model, they haven't been paying attention in the last few years. So this is where I'm getting a little frustrated, because this is not a conversation that we have not had before. This has been an ongoing conversation that we have had for a very long time. It is up to us to make the hard choice. Do we want to do the middle school model or not? I think, from my own experience with my children, my son who was ready to be in Otter Valley by 5th and 6th grade, yeah, we're ready. We need to move towards this because it's not working for our kids. That's where we need to go. Yeah, it's hard. People don't like change. People at Leicester, I understand. I had a kid that was in a small school and I had to put him into a larger school. That was tough for me. But, in the end, it all worked out. And we have to be willing as board members to make those really, really hard choices. And I'm just saying, I'm all for the middle school model. And I'm ready to say, yeah, let's do this. And now let's put in the work to do that. And that will include looking at how we restructure our other schools. I don't want to say that we're consolidating, we're restructuring. We're looking at how we can do things differently. So, yeah.
Okay, no, makes sense. Okay, so,
Kevin.
yeah, oh, sorry. You've been really quiet tonight. So, okay, go for
I'm
it.
learning wisdom in my old age.
Maybe.
Probably not. Natalie's bringing up an essential point, that, there are some tough choices to be made, and we have to make them. I agree with her about the middle school model. We've, we were both on a committee that sat for months talking about possible middle school designs and how much it would cost and consolidation plans and things like, all that stuff. And that suddenly seems to have evaporated. Maybe that doesn't matter, but certainly we have to make this essential decision. The other thing I wanted to say is just it's an obvious point, but I think it's worth stating out loud. Yeah, people might say contradictory things, and they might switch their arguments when they're talking about their school. That's because they love it and they want to preserve it. People get emotionally attached to a small school and a small community. It's the center of the community's life. They're happy with what their children are experiencing. Their children are the most precious thing in their lives, and so they're going to try to protect that. And yes, they're going to fear change, and they may express that in ways that we say, "Oh, that's illogical," but it doesn't. We have to be patient with all of that, and that's part of our jobs too.
And I'd like to turn that coin also in the fact that we have a responsibility to act in the best interest of the kids, and I'm not willing to make decisions for without the right level of information to be able to know the impact of my decision. And I think that's where I'm struggling. We talk about this as being a step to the middle school model, but where are the other steps? What is the process? Where is the progress? Where are the numbers? I don't have that information, and I'm not willing to make a decision that impacts an entire community, and 3 communities actually, because the other 2 are already in there as well, and they've already been impacted in the past. So I'm not willing to do that without the bigger picture, without understanding exactly how these pieces are fitting together, because it's too much of an impact. And I have nothing to say that says, and this is going to be what how the taxes are going to change for you, voter, to be able to approve it. We did this for you. I can't say that right now. So that's where I'm stuck. I understand all of this. I understand how small schools, that we're in a place where there's a transition. We did this when we went from a one-room schoolhouse into a bigger, these transitions happen, and I get it, right? But where's the bigger picture of where we're going? I don't have it. Yes, we've talked about it. We've had options. Where is the plan? I don't see a plan.
And so, if you don't have it, then obviously community members don't have it, right?
Right. And so I just can't act responsibly as a board member and make these really difficult decisions that have huge impact on the community without the bigger plan. That's where I'm stuck.
So,
Isn't the bigger plan middle school model?
What
Right?
is
That's
that
the
middle
plan.
school? Where did we, that's the first time you heard about
Right,
that?
that's me.
And that's the first time
We
you
had it
heard
on our agenda a couple of meetings ago, but we tabled it and didn't discuss it, so.
Well, it's on tonight's agenda,
Last
so.
year, we were on a committee. Right, we had a committee that we
Right.
had members of the community talk about that.
Yeah, so, all right, so I'm gonna pull us back together here, because we're circling, and I think we're circling a drain. So, here, sorry.
With those headlamps.
Well, yeah, right, I don't know. Anyway, I think at this point, what I'm hearing is that you're not prepared, or we as a board are not prepared, to necessarily move forward with this at the moment. So I might come back to this in a couple of minutes, but to Natalie's point, the next thing on our agenda is the facility middle school model. And so I'm going to move to that for now. We can always go back if you want to, but I I want, I think we need to have a discussion about that a little bit, and I'll take a hit on the middle school model because we talked about the middle school model. We proposed something at our June meeting, which 4 or 5 of you weren't even on the board to even see that. And then it kind of got tabled because of
73.
Well, no, actually, it more got tabled because we were hoping that Proctor might talk to us.
Oh.
And if Proctor talked to us, then we might not have to build a middle school, which would save our communities lots of dollars, right? I mean, we don't have a dollar sign for a middle school here, but we know it's going to be big. And even if we don't do a middle school here, we still have to do all of the renovations that this building requires.
So did Proctor say no, thank you?
Proctor hasn't said anything to me, although I know they had their meeting Thursday night, and I've been scouring their website for board minutes, and it's not there, and it's been 3 days.
What was the question
on
to
the
Proctor?
agenda either.
Huh?
We're not on the agenda either.
He said he would put us on the agenda, so anyway, the question to Proctor was, no, not side notes, sorry, we're gonna.
That's okay, what was the question
the
to
question was, to Proctor was to ask them if they would be interested in joining our Otter Valley district as a member town,
And then hopefully using their school as a middle school?
using their high school as our middle school, and putting their elementary kids potentially into Lothrop, which has declining enrollment and really needs kids.
Okay.
So, that was the question. But I haven't heard from them, so maybe they're not interested. And if they're not, then they're not interested. So, because we're being ghosted at the moment, and because I haven't seen their minutes and I haven't heard from Eric Heyer, we need to move forward, because I've kind of stalled it. I'll admit it, I've kind of stalled, kind of waiting for them, and we're not gonna wait anymore. So, we can implode this middle school model that we're talking about if they come to us, or we can tell them something else. But, so tonight, we're going to talk about a communication plan for the middle school model, because if we're going to do the middle school model, then we really want to put that out to vote to our taxpayers next November. November of 26, not March of 26. So we're giving everybody at least a year to get used to this and to see what our proposed plan is and all of that, and have more information, because of course, yes, at the moment, all we have is a sketch. But I did ask Jill to come tonight, Jill Judy, because she is our communications director, and hopefully she can help us plan out what we need to do between now and then in increments to get people on board to why a middle school model, or building a middle school onto the high school here, makes sense. First of all, it helps us get rid of that ugly looking trailer out back. So, and, sorry.
Modular unit.
It's an ugly old trailer.
We have it for 3 more years.
It's not old yet, Brenda.
But it's getting there.
That's Lori.
Lori,
sorry.
Yeah, it's all right. So anyway, so I'm gonna turn it over to you.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for having me here tonight. So I presented, gosh, it feels like 7 years ago, but I think it was back in September, on a communications plan. The first step in that plan was sharing the how our facilities here are right now at Otter Valley with the public, to kind of open people's eyes to what is here, what we're working with. Renee, are you able to pull up my?
Yep. Let me.
I toured OV the other day with Michael and the head custodian here, Jim Yeager, and they showed me parts of the building I had never seen before. The parts that I had.
You're gonna have nightmares.
I've been to the depths, folks, and it is dark. So I just wanted to present a little history on the building. So if you will step into the Wayback Machine with me, back to 1960, early 1960s, was the initial construction of Otter Valley. These are just a couple of articles that I found, mostly from what was then the Rutland Daily Herald, about the construction and just kind of the excitement around the building of the school at the time. The second one from the left there is actually a real estate listing, where like they are highlighting like that your student, if you live here, your kid will get to go to the brand new Otter Valley High School.
We were the 8th union school in the state.
I was going to say, before this, it was just the Brandon High School.
Brandon High School, yes,
And Pittsford.
in downtown
And the
Brandon.
Pittsford High School.
Go to the next slide. It opened to students in the fall of 1961. It was the first electrically heated high school in, I think, in the country, certainly in Vermont. The picture on the left there, if you can read the caption, refers to the woman, her name is Linda McMurtry. She's the pretty Otter Valley Union High School junior, and she is showing off the tiles
Which are
in the
still
lobby, which are still there. Same tiles, so not a lot of
Very
change.
proud of those tiles
They
in
were
1961.
Very proud of those tiles.
Quality material.
Yeah, that's why they're still there.
No, that's right, they're still there.
Full of asbestos.
And the one in the middle there is an open house that was held, I think it was in the midwinter of 1962, where it attracted over 1,000 visitors to come and see our modern
Kevin, electric heat.
electric
There's
heat.
history.
In the 60s, yeah.
That could not have been cheap.
Now we're running. No, it was not.
It's the nuclear revolution.
But we were Brandon,
It was so
you know,
cheap
the
you wouldn't
town
even
of-
meter it.
The birth of electricity, yeah.
Right. Next slide, Renee. 1968, the population of the school was expanding so much that they installed mobile classrooms. Those were installed on, yes.
You had those until what, 2000 something?
We'll get there, it was the mid-90s, I think.
1995.
Yes. So they were installed on the side of what is now the East Wing, which is the middle school wing in the northeast
to
corner of the
95.
building.
Same age as me.
Yeah, they were there for quite a while. Next slide. So in the early 1970s, the annex was built. It originally consisted of just one room and was broken down into smaller spaces
Michael Dwyer's class.
over time. That is also approximately when our wastewater treatment plant was installed here at the school. So I didn't take a picture of that, sorry.
Did you go visit?
No. I heard stories. In the late 1980s, the addition that we are sitting in currently was built. The library with the music and science classroom spaces below us. The picture on the right is from a scrapbook that's actually on the shelf behind Jessica over here, documenting the project, if anybody ever wants to look at it. Next. And then, yes, 1995, the current East Wing was built to replace the 1969 modular building. There were also updates made to the annex and some renovations made to the main building, but those were mainly in the name of code compliance. They weren't necessarily anything fancy, they were just to keep the school open. And then 2010s and on, the Moo outdoor classroom building, the front entry vestibule, construction and renovation, and the addition of our modular building. And also, right around, maybe slightly before that time, was the Markowski Field of Dreams project, which, you know, brought all of our athletic fields. I believe those were mostly done through donations. No, okay, well, people tell me all sorts of things. Fields. So this is just an overview of the building, just to kind of give you a sense of when was what. And the solar panels were added in, I believe, 2015. Yes. Okay. So our present day.
I like the Otters.
They are
They're
so
beautiful.
beautiful.
I love the
Yes.
Otters.
The annex is now 53 years old.
54.
54, okay.
No, oh, the annex, no.
The annex.
Okay.
The roof needs replacement, and to my understanding, cracks in the foundation are currently allowing in moisture and rodents. Do you want to add anything to that, Michael? No?
No, I mean, it's not an urgent repair, but it's the roof is beyond its useful life.
Yes.
When I was principal, I had to remove the rodents. Do you have to remove the rodents?
Brenda and I do that together.
Our modular and the exterior of our building, the modular is 2 years into a 5-year usable life.
It's a lot more than 5.
Okay, well, that was
I mean, it's recommended.
recommended.
No, this board
No, the
said
board
it's
said
limited
5,
to
yeah.
5. It is well worth 25-year life.
But it does block the first floor classroom windows, which is unfortunate. And the stucco on the library addition needs to be cleaned. Was that one of the things that was included in the, I know that there were some things that you guys voted to approve to have, which are included in here because didn't know how things were going. But the stucco on the library addition definitely needs to be cleaned or replaced.
You can see it.
Yeah, you can see it in the background. The classroom heat units are dated. They are individually controlled and pull in air directly from the outside. So if the air outside is bad, so if there's buses idling outside or something, that air can be pulled into the building. Many are inoperational due to us having to take parts from them to repair others. So like robbing from Peter to pay Paul and get stuff working. That is a common theme, as you will see going forward in this. Our electrical system is pretty disjointed. New additions were not made in any sort of methodical or sensible manner. Some outlets are connected to breaker boxes where we're not sure where they are. When I was here for this tour, the 9th grade was having a pancake breakfast. It was a reward that they got for meeting an attendance threshold. And one of the griddles blew out a breaker, and
Couldn't find
no one knew where it was to turn the outlet back on. So. Building heat, boilers are very old, likely original to the building, require frequent repairs. Parts can be difficult to find, and again, that is one of those things where there are 2 of them, and parts will be taken from one to fix another. Our water pumps, old, some have been replaced. You can see some of the nicer ones. There are the red and black ones in the pictures, but they have not all been replaced and are headed that way pretty quickly. This is our water main. It leaks and fills up a bucket of water that needs to be emptied out every day. Also next to it in that nice little bucket there are some old tiles, like the ones from the rest of the building.
In case you have to repair them.
Okay, yeah, just in case. Just in case.
Spares and everything. At least you know where they are.
Lovely tiles still available.
The sump pump, this is located down in the basement next to the Moose and Moo class, or is it Moose, or no, it's the shop. It has been repaired after 2 recent fails of the previous system caused wastewater flooding into our shop downstairs. Jim, our head custodian, is unsure how long this current fix will last. This is below grade, so. The hot water tank is quite old.
Asbestos.
We are having.
Just substitute that where unknown is.
Yeah. We had some big debate about this. Somebody didn't want me to put the word asbestos in my slideshow. There's differing opinions and differing thoughts on what it is insulated with. It is also exceeded likely its expected useful life. This is a huge tank. I know it's kind of hard to tell from the picture, but it's really big. The bathrooms, many are very dated, needed repairs and updates. This is the middle school boys' bathroom. If anybody wants a tour afterwards, I'm sure Michael would be glad to take you down there and show you around. It's 2 stalls. The dividers are broken and have been repaired many, many times. The toilet on the left is currently non-functional, so that means there's 1 toilet for a whole bunch of middle school boys. And the bathroom is also just like really scary looking. Like if that were in a gas station, like I would be terrified. So. Our cafeteria kitchen, the cafeteria as a whole is very institutional feeling. Much of the equipment there is either broken or doesn't always work correctly. Both dishwashers are currently not working, or at least as of last week. I don't know if that's been changed, meaning that all of the dishes have to be washed by hand. The steam trays do not always operate to their full temperature. The piping to the grease trap in the sink can't handle the volume of water, which means that sometimes it overflows. You can imagine how pleasant that must be. And one of our ovens is also currently not working. And then our cafeteria, there's 2 of them. They look similar. The ceiling tiles need replacement. Their eating spaces are not meaningfully connected to where the students get their food. So there was a lot of stuff in there, but if you walk up the hall, the downstairs hall here, the cafeteria entrance is on the left. The kitchen entrance is on the left. There's two very small doors that are opened so kids can go through two lunch lines. It's very cramped. You have to go through, one lunch line goes to one cafeteria and the other one goes to the other cafeteria. So kids have to all go through the same lines no matter what they want to eat. So if someone wants a piece of pizza, they have to wait in line behind someone who's getting, making a salad from the salad bar. It's not quick, it's not efficient, it's not pleasant.
It's not modern.
It's not modern, no. This is one of our two locker rooms, also original to the school. You can see in the pictures that the tile is coming off the walls.
Go down to the basement, there's more tile in the basement.
Yeah, go find the tile in the basement. The wall in the upper right-hand picture actually can't be fixed with tile because it's bowing, so it can't be retiled. The lockers, this picture was taken last week. We're in between sports seasons, but the lockers are too small to be functional for students. They can't fit their sports gear in them, so gear winds up all over the floor during busy sports seasons. The shower controls are old and have a high risk of failure due to the way, I can't even say that I understand it completely, the way that Jim explained it to me, but the way that the water flows through, there's something that's a really high risk of failure in the water control. And also, most of them don't have shower heads on them. They just have the kind of, there's no water direction. It's not a pipe, it's the little thing that you would attach a shower head to. The library windows, which you guys did vote to have fixed next summer, which is awesome because they're terrible. If you have been on the board for any extended period of time, you know how hot it can get in here. The windows generally can't be opened because they're almost impossible to safely and securely close at this point. They are too rotted and damaged. And what else? The roof, multiple spots where there's leaks. The concern is that we won't know the full extent of the damage until work begins because you peel something back and you don't know what's under there until you get started. And the wastewater treatment plant, which I believe was also voted, the wastewater treatment plant is great but lacks a grinder, which means that it needs to be done manually, sometimes many times a day. If you would like a demo of that, I'm sure Jim, our head custodian, would be happy to show you how that works. But yes,
Pretty gross.
Yeah.
It's as gross as it sounds.
It's as gross as it sounds. So I'm glad that is something that's getting fixed. The traffic ingress and egress, we really only have one entry to the property for vehicles off of Route 7, major congestion sometimes of the day. I know that there is a traffic study being done, but I just felt like something that was important to mention. This is a link. I will have Melinda share this slideshow out to you all tomorrow, so you'll be able to click on the link. We're not going to go through it all right now, but this is a 2023 facility condition assessment that was done by the Agency of Education. It's pretty long. It's probably, 60 pages or so. Some of it touches on stuff that I have mentioned here. There's also a bunch else that I didn't get into, smaller things. They broke our systems down into 16 different categories, out of which we scored, or 18 different categories, excuse me, out of which we scored poorly in 18 of them, or 6 of them out of the 18, fair in 10 out of the 18, and good in 2 out of the 18. So it's pretty telling. I would encourage you all, if you didn't get a chance to, if you didn't read it originally when it was first, released to the board, please take a look.
Brenda, how long were they actually in the building when they were doing this? Like a day?
I don't know if you would know. I did not accompany them on it. They were the same vendor that did the entire state.
Yeah.
And so that's good and bad. I think the good is they use the same standards throughout the state, right? The same metrics. But I don't know how long they were here. Honestly, we got all
I think a day-ish is right. I mean, it's a pretty quick condition assessment.
They had actually forgotten us. We got every district except Otter Valley.
That's why I noticed that December.
I'm like, where's the Otter Valley one? And they were like,
oh. So what I would say about that in my experience with this particular, it's not as in-depth as we could have if somebody were to come in and do it, but for them to have the findings of 16 of the 18 either fair or poor, that means just by showing up and looking at it, they could tell that it wasn't in good shape in 23.
Yeah, and the two that were rated as good, spoiler alert, one was our sheds, our outbuildings are good, and the other one is like we have good access to good utilities here. It wasn't even really anything of like our doing, it was just like our infrastructure here supports the school.
We actually paid for that.
I would guess it is.
Okay, well.
We paid to get that, what, phase 3 electricity or something, so.
I would guess it's even worse than Renee suggested. I strongly suspect there's an element of grade inflation involved. If it's an entirely statewide survey, they probably didn't want to be in the position of saying we need billions of dollars of new schools because our schools are failing as buildings. So there's an incentive built in to say, it's okay. Well, this part. So
Good enough.
I think our true grade is much worse than
Yeah.
than 12 out of the 18 being okay.
The report does include cost estimates, and even the Agency of Education is recognizing those cost estimates are severely, severely undervalued.
Well, I would mention too that before we were visited, they paused the program to test for air quality for PFAs. Or PFAS? PFASs, yes, that's it. So, might be a tear down. Who knows, right? We don't know because they didn't test us.
Michael, was there anything I missed or misrepresented?
No, I think it was a good summary. I mean, I think it's easy to like look at that and be like, you know, everything's not working all the time, and that's not true. I think what, you know, to summarize the current facility condition is essentially to say that there's a lot of deferred maintenance, which I think is known, and that what our custodial staff is frequently doing is sort of trying to make the best of it on a daily basis. I think the example of like the electrical system is a good one, right? A breaker goes or an outlet goes, and we you know, they take a couple of hours to figure out the breaker. I think that's a lot of what the facilities team is doing on a daily basis, is trying to patch.
Yeah. And I wanted to end on kind of a high note. We do have some great spaces here, and like Michael was saying, everything is not on fire all day, every day. Our auditorium is great. Like I said, the fields and everything that we have are awesome. Our gym is a nice space. We did update the staff room and the middle school wing have both been, you know, had upgrades and renovations made to them. We have a lot of nice spaces here. Even the library here is a nice space. Even our classrooms are nice spaces. I just think we need to modernize, pay attention to what our kids actually deserve.
And I would add, I mean, over the last few years we've done, I mean, you can see that the whole building's been painted internally. The bathrooms in the main area were done in the last, it was before my time, but not much before, right?
Correct.
So there's been some strong upgrades. And, you know, you all just gave us a bunch of money to spend this summer to continue that process. I think ultimately, again, deferred maintenance, right? And we've been kind of in this place where we're sort of holding on some decisions that would need to be made based on where the board wants to go. Most salient example is our middle school bathrooms, right? We haven't done anything with them for the last few years. As this conversation happens, we are likely, you know, to patch it. We're going under contract to have like partitions redone, like a little bit of like there's some costs there, right? Because we're not quite sure whether to gut, right? We're not quite sure whether to really invest some money in this as we're potentially like doing some major construction of a middle school.
I'm just going to say, it was a really fine presentation. To put a little more general historical context into it, the school's built in '61. That's depending on how you count, 17 years into the baby boom, near the end of the baby boom. Because there were lots of new kids and a need for new spaces in a hurry, places were built cheaply. And if you compare this building to, say, Barstow, which is 50 years older, 60 years older, the quality of the construction is vastly different. The cinder blocks in this room, they're cheap. So we have a cheapness problem built into the building. And Michael just used the word patch. We can go on patching and patching and patching. It's a losing proposition in the long run. And I just want to contrast it. If we go down the road to Middlebury College, I know they've got $1 billion plus endowment. You can smell the money in their buildings. You know, the science building has different woods in the lobby on every floor. Why? Just to make it nice, because they know that environment matters. Even if you don't notice, oh, the wood might change color, you notice collectively that money's been spent, that the place is beautiful, everything is immaculate. Our kids deserve the same thing. It teaches the lesson, you deserve to be a winner. You deserve it. And we need to teach our kids that same lesson. And patching up leaky pipes, not having sewage system working properly, water backing up in the cafeteria. We can't go on patching forever. We need to, Natalie's talking about biting the bullet. We need to say we need to build new and give our kids what they deserve. I've said it before, I'll say it again. If I could, I'd pay Michelangelo to paint the ceiling in the lobby so our children knew that they're valued when they walk in the door. That's what we need to be aiming for, and that's what we need to be selling the public on. Thanks, I'm done.
I have some context to add to that, as I'm involved with building the buildings at Middlebury.
Okay.
Those buildings are $50 to $100 million buildings, which is excellent. I agree entirely, but there's an expense that comes with it that we have to be cognizant of how we can burden the public. This building, on that, to follow up on that, it's not, I don't necessarily disagree, but I don't entirely agree. Sometimes the most cost-effective thing you have is the building you have. So in this building, what I see as the major problem isn't necessarily the building. I'm hitting semantics on some people. It's the MEP, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing systems. Those are what were cheaply done. Block lasts forever. The steel beams, the concrete floors, the superstructure, the steel roof joists generally hold up. It's the stuff that supports those buildings that were either just badly engineered in the first place. The 60s and 70s were not the glory days for engineers. The quality of the design wasn't there, the materials weren't there, and they're just worn out. Updating those systems is critical, but it is expensive, but it's not a $50 to $100 million building. It's maybe putting 20 or 10 or 30 or whatever you decide into the existing building. And when you combine that with declining enrollment, granted, as we shuffle things around, we may solve that problem through whatever, but the big problem with this building is the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing systems. And then just fit and finish, which is, that's where you get to decide how much money you want to spend. Because that could be, blue painted walls, we're done. Or we have wood trim everywhere, we have patterns, we have all this stuff. It's the finishes that go through the roof, and you can spend as much as you want. So, my 2 cents.
Well, I know it's kind of worst case scenario, but this school was built in 1961. Burlington High School was built in 1964. So the materials that built this building are very likely to be very similar to the ones that proved to be a major problem for Burlington. And the result of that was a $165 million bond. So we shouldn't just assume that we have a structure that's fine. It's something we're going to eventually have to ask that question.
That is the $100 million question.
$165 million.
We would never be able, that's a different building for a different population. This would be.
Well, yeah,
this
because that
would be an
included a
$80
tech
million
center as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was bigger.
But we have to make improvements and maintain our buildings, so that's what we're talking about here, right?
Right, so
There
yeah,
are things
so
we have to do, so.
my idea behind presenting you all with this information is that I'm sure there was information in there that some of you didn't know, maybe that all of you didn't know, and that's fine. We all haven't been here forever.
Some of us have.
Some of us have, okay. But I just wanted to share that to give everybody kind of a bigger picture, but also a smaller picture of what needs to be dealt with, and whether that is lumped in with a middle school project or taken care of on its own. Happy to help you through those either way, however I can, but like, it is something that a decision needs to be made on.
We cannot build a $50 million middle school expansion.
Just a minute, yeah.
And abandon, and then as a result of that money now being gone, lose the function of this building through the mechanical systems failing. So I think that's a balance to say that we just have to consider as we go down that road, is if this building needs 20 million, we only have 50, that means we don't do that, or we do that and we lose this. I'm not saying that's the case, I'm saying that's something that we need to be cognizant
So
of.
the middle school was just gonna be an add-on to the building that's already here, so.
Right.
With improvements to the.
With improvements to the, yeah, go ahead, Natalie.
I think the point of Jill's presentation is that these needed improvements provide more of an argument for why we need to do the middle school. We need to create a space that's healthy and safe for our children. And we can do these improvements along with a middle school upgrade. It would make more sense to do it all together than to do it piecemeal, in my opinion. And that's why we should make a decision on whether we want to do the middle school model or not.
And the middle school committee talked extensively about the type of repairs you mentioned. It wasn't like, oh, we're going to abandon the high school and build a swanky middle school.
Right, no, it was,
together.
there was definitely gonna be done together. So I think at this point, and being that it's almost 8:30, I'm not gonna, we're not leaving, I'm not letting you out of it this early, but I think it's important that we make a decision about this tonight. So, is there a motion on the floor?
I move that we say yes to the middle school model and start doing the work that's needed to
Communication.
to do that.
It's not just a communication plan, though, it's
Cost and
also,
everything.
it's everything.
Yeah, it needs
Because
to
if
communicate.
you want them to vote in November of next year, we have like 10 months to really pull this together and being transparent and giving them all the costs and letting them know why this is so important. So, all right, is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you.
What was the motion?
The motion is to move forward with the middle school model and the renovation of Otter Valley.
The communication and
Well,
outreach.
The
planning and
figuring
everything to
out the
put it
plan.
It's everything, planning, not just the
Next November.
communication plan. It's to come up with something so that we can have a vote on, a bond vote next November. So that gives us a year.
No point in moving forward with doing research if nobody agrees moving forward with a middle school plan. So we have to decide, is that what we want to do? If that's what we want to do, then we start doing the investigative work of what it's going to cost.
Right.
And then, and at the same time, parallel to that, we do the communication to the community and say,
Right.
this is what we're,
Exactly. That's what I'm,
And
yeah.
why?
I will say that I also discovered in my research, and maybe I should have included it in the slideshow, and I didn't, the middle school model idea has been kicked around here at OB since 1968. So this is not even a conversation. What's that? I should have. I'll find the article and send it to
Okay.
you all, but.
So there's just, yeah,
Just, sorry, I know that you're trying to move forward. When we talk about the middle school model and moving forward with the potential bond a year from now, I just want to make sure.
that means that
My
damn thing out
advocacy-
there is going away.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
And also that you're authorizing us to move forward with working on a bond for the improvements here as
Yep,
part of that.
but,
I just wanna
yeah.
Make sure that those.
So that, yeah, because we'll all be working in tandem together on that, yes.
I just want to make sure.
Not
we're
just you, sorry.
$50 million middle school.
Right. Oh, yeah, no, we'll make sure that
I
you
mean,
might.
do that too.
Maybe we'll even make sure you have a new office, since you gave up yours. So, okay, sorry, so we have a second. Is there any other discussion about this? What did you think about? Brett, go ahead.
You're killing me, Lori. Okay, so that's.
I'm asking.
Okay, so how?
You can vote no.
How can we vote to move forward with the middle school model just after we said we can't make a decision on Lester?
Well, so I think I'm
can answer that.
I'm going to answer it because so
She's the chair.
That's right. Once in a while, I'm going to, exercise my power. So I think the reason that I would be potential yes, or actually am a yes, is from what Natalie said before, which is all of this. If we make a move and do the middle school model, then everything else dominoes behind it. Because if we're doing a middle school model, all the sixth graders are coming here to this school, right? And so that now opens up 3 classrooms at Neshabie. It opens up 1 classroom at Leicester. It opens up 2 additional, 1 classroom, I think, at Lothrop currently. Right? Because there's just 1. 2. Is there 2 right now?
Right now.
Okay, all right. So right now there's 2. So again, it opens up 6 classrooms. That may require us at that point to say, okay, we've got to do some thinking here. What are we doing? Lothrop might be the one to merge with Neshabie.
They might all have to, yeah.
Well, right, all of them
But that's
might
the
end
whole
up-
point, Lori, right? A vote to pursue the middle school model is a vote to consolidate our elementary schools.
At some point, yes.
Yes.
Well, not necessarily.
Well,
I
it
don't
has to be
agree.
necessarily. We can't take on extra burden like that.
It is restructuring. I would not say consolidate. I would not use the term consolidate. We are
Same outcome.
restructuring.
It's the same
It
thing.
means- It's not. And it also means that we could save OCA, right? OCA may still exist in a form that people want. So we're not saying, let's just get rid of OCA. We're saying, we're going to look at the entire picture here and do what's best for the whole community. And when I say whole community, I mean all of OVU.
Right.
So I would not say it's consolidation. I would say we're looking at how we can restructure things differently.
But in this situation, we're looking at how we're going to add a middle school.
Well, and we've been talking about this forever, so either we're going to do it or we're not.
So
right?
what I would also add is that the charge of the facilities committee this past school year was to only look at the middle school model. Every time that the committee members brought up, well, what about this with this school and what about this with this school? We said that's not the charge of this committee. That's going to have to be the charge of another committee. So saying that these things are going to happen downstream, of course, lots of things could happen downstream, but those things could only happen, I would imagine, if we come back together and say, we need to now have something, we need to put together a committee to decide what we're going to do with the rest of it, because we haven't had those conversations about what would happen post the middle school model.
In the middle school, I mean, even if we did a bond vote next year in November, what's the earliest it would be up and running?
The following summer.
You think so?
So November of '26.
So
Yeah.
are you talking about the building?
when with
or
the
talking
Yeah, I'm talking about build-
occupation.
When the
No, no,
actual
no.
building would happen.
When the actual building would happen?
32.
I would say if we have an approved bond vote in November of '26, we would bid out the project maybe by the summer of '27, and we would start construction in '28.
Okay.
And based on Burlington, they are opening 5 years after the vote.
Okay. Yeah.
In
And
some ways,
if we
theirs was
don't
easier.
get a positive bond vote, the work we're doing is necessary work. It's work. We have to look ahead. We need to see what our schools need in 5 or 10 years down the road. So we may do a bond vote another year later or 2 years later. but looking at all our facilities and what we need to do for our facilities as a whole is important work. And it's forward thinking. We need to be forward thinking.
All right. Anything else? All right, so we're gonna go to vote. So the motion on the floor is to move forward with the middle school model with a proposed bond vote of November 2026. All of those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Put your hands up. 6. Okay. Those against?
I'm gonna abstain, so what do I do?
Okay.
I don't have enough
1,
information.
2, abstaining as well, okay, 2. So it's 6-2, which would normally say that it fails, but I'm gonna say yes, and that makes it 7-2, so it moves forward.
Okay, can you give me those numbers again?
Sure. So there were 6 that said yes,
6 yes,
there were 2 that said no,
2 no's.
so that's 8. There's,
We had 2 abstain?
no, we had 3, we must have had 4 abstain. Oh, Paul's not here, we had 3.
3
3
abstain.
abstain, and then I said yes to make it
So we're adding a
A4.
7, 2, and 3.
Yep. Okay. All right. I think we can blow through the rest of this pretty quickly. So, I know, sorry, but we need to do this. So, Act 73 continued discussion. As you all know, the Act 73 task force kind of said, nope, we're not going to do this. We're going to say voluntary mergers, which is not what the governor likes. So Act 73 is going back to the legislature. So we'll see what happens this next legislative session, starting in January.
37 will be coming.
Yeah.
Within the board documents, I put together a 2-pager that gives you a summary of the meeting that took place on November 12th with a lot of links, as well as a definition of what BOCES are and what another option called educational service centers are, as well as the news articles that came out immediately after the meeting, and then finally a link for the next meeting, which is this Thursday, from 9:30 to 3:30, so just turn it on, get your popcorn.
As far as Quarry Valley is concerned, I haven't heard from them. It sounds like we weren't on their schedule, so we'll just move forward without them. If they want to talk to us, they'll let us know. Hawk Hill update, this is something that we do need to do. Kevin, I'm handing it over to you.
Yeah, sorry, this might take a little longer than you expect.
It's just an appointment.
Well, there's other issues that have come up.
Well, can we appoint tonight and then move the rest of it to the next meeting?
I
or does it, can you wait 2 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, there's an issue where we're violating the law, but,
Oh, okay, well, that sounds really great. Okay. Well, let's do the appointment first, and then maybe you can at least tell us how we're violating the law. We'll decide if we want to continue.
So, for those of you who don't know, Hawk Hill's 231 acres adjacent to the school that the school owns, but under an agreement with the Vermont Land Trust, we have to meet certain conditions. There's a Hawk Hill committee that is a subcommittee of the school board, but it's a subcommittee that has one school board member that happens to be me at the moment, and a number of other appointed members who are nominated by other agencies, but are appointed by this board. So there's a vacancy currently. The person nominated by the Brandon Museum, Bill Powers, is no longer able to continue in the job, and the Brandon Museum recently nominated Len Schmidt to take his place. So the immediate business before us is to appoint Len Schmidt to the Hawk Hill board.
So are you making that a motion?
Not yet. I'm going to make a prior motion that the board recognize the long-term, devoted, years-long service of Bill Powers, who selflessly spent many, many years maintaining the graveyard back at Hawk Hill, and also did extensive historical research so that we know about the cellar holes and the families that live there. He did this for many, many years, thankless work, and he deserves our appreciation. So I'd like to make a motion that we recognize him for those things.
Second.
you need a second.
Sure.
Yeah,
All those in
great.
favor?
Great.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay.
And then the second motion is to appoint Len Schmidt to the Hawk Hill Board. Len is a very knowledgeable woodsman. He ran the lumber to library program that took wood from Hawk Hill and built shelves for the library. He's a very able person who knows a lot about this subject. He'll be a fantastic addition to the board.
That's great that you got him to say yes. I couldn't do that last
So you're making a motion.
I'm making a motion to appoint Len Schmidt.
Is there a
to the Hawk Hill
second?
Board.
Fernanda? Any discussion? All those in favor of Len Schmidt as the Hawk Hill Brandon Museum rep signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, thank you. All right, community linkage. So this Saturday, we do have another day of,
You want to hear about the law violation?
oh, sorry, it wasn't on my agenda, so I was just flying through. Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so we are in violation of the federal Safe Schools Act because Hawk Hill signage has been eaten by porcupines. Apparently, the wood it was on is a tasty porcupine treat. So the signs are gone. So hunters with no ill intent, without can wander onto the Hawk Hill property and get within 1,000 feet of the school and not know, or get closer to the 1,000 feet, which is what the law requires. And I have to rephrase that. The law requires they be 1,000 feet away from the school. It's possible without the signage to make a mistake and continue further in than they should.
So what do you need?
We need to put signs up around the Hawk Hill property.
And do you know how much that would cost?
The estimate we have right now is $2,000.
How much?
2,000?
$2,000.
We did talk about
We
this
did talk
last.
about this, and Brenda said just bring a proposal right to her,
Okay,
and that there was money.
and nobody did. Okay, so bring your costs directly to Brenda.
Okay.
And then,
Like,
then
if
we,
you know who to buy it from, Michael and I'll make it happen.
yeah.
Dan Snow knows.
You don't, you know I'm not gonna remember that. You're gonna.
Yeah, but I'm not going to remember. I don't know who to buy it from.
Kevin,
I don't
I'd
know.
rather have more signs than just the right number of signs.
So the estimate we talked about yesterday in committee was 200
Metal.
signs. I don't really know how many are required. I'm not the expert on this at all, but there are people on the committee who do know, and I'll get those numbers to you.
Okay,
Bill
so
was
if you can
supposed
get
to
that to
get a
them,
quote.
then
Kevin,
we probably
if
don't
you could
even,
just get us in contact.
yeah.
With the right person.
Resistance signs?
We talked about that, actually, yeah. it's-
Are they the standard no hunting signs, or is there something special?
I think there's a little, maybe more to it than that.
There are signs on the
it's-
property that
it's-
indicate
It's a
school,
hunting
you
by
know,
permit only and
school
the
zone.
number.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think
I came in blind, so I can't answer these questions in any detail.
all right.
I did learn that their treated plywood is tasty to porcupines,
Yes.
and that untreated wood isn't necessarily.
It
So that
sounds
was-
like the bigger issue is acrobatic porcupines that can get up to the signs.
And then eat them.
We need like a playground for
Yeah,
porcupines
so
to distract them from the signs.
We're giving you carte blanche to do what you need to do.
Okay.
Okay?
Great,
All
thank
right,
you.
yeah. See, how fast was that? All right, community linkage. We have two more public forums coming up this Saturday, 9 to 11 at the Sudbury School, and then from 12 to 2 at Caverly. Also, please remember that board members that are up for March re-elections, if that's one of your terms on the agenda, please find out, determine whether or not you're going to rerun. And if you are, let us know. If you're not, let us know so that we can start advertising for those positions. Moving on, district quality standards, self-assessment rubric.
We've got this,
Yep,
so I'll use these findings for.
perfect. Do you need anything from me else?
That's it.
Perfect.
I'll fill out all three surveys at the same time.
Great. Advocacy, the AOE Chronic Absentee Focus Group.
So,
Okay.
that was me. Yeah, so today, we, RNESU hosted a group from, that has been charged by the state to help schools around Vermont come up with ways to better serve our students who have a hard time coming to school. In addition, they're helping the AOE write a statute and policy and practices in order to help the school districts around the state help students get to school. And so there was a summit yesterday that Brian Crane and Joel Jones and I attended at Killington. And today, myself and Chantal Vincelet, the nurse, attended the local one here at the Brandon Hall. We'd like to thank the town of Brandon for letting us borrow the basement today. No ghost, Brenda, that we were aware of. So we will keep reporting out because as you know, attendance is one of our focus issues for the school year and will be for the foreseeable future.
Any questions? Cool. I'm going to skip the next two. Do you want to do your superintendent informational report about the education survey?
No, I would just say if you get a chance, please click on that link so you can see the survey. And I think it's really impressive that they were able to get over 4,000 people to respond to it.
Yeah, that is impressive. Okay. Going back, other business for future consideration.
Couple things.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is for future consideration, but I did want to, I don't know if anyone is aware, but I believe we are on the Pittsford Select Board's agenda for tomorrow night.
We are? Why?
In regards to the Caverly and OVUHS properties.
Okay.
And
were we invited?
I don't think we were invited. I think they're going to request those facilities back if we're not using them.
Oh, okay. Well, unfortunately, I would go, but tomorrow night's an RNESU board meeting. So,
I'd probably be remote, but I was going to log in.
Okay, well, okay. Well, I suppose if they want to talk to us, they would reach out. So
Yeah, I don't know if they want to talk to us so much as they want to send us a letter and let us know.
Well, that's fine too. We're going to send them a letter about the Burnett Fund.
So, well, I just wanted to bring it up, and then
Okay.
the other thing I wanted to bring up is I feel like probably not just this board, but every board in the state might want to consider sending a letter to the state about the failure of Act 73 and the negative impact that it's having on our abilities to budget
Georgia.
properly and the impact on student outcomes, because I feel like every district in this entire state has been held up while this process has been gone on, only for it to result in basically going back to square one. And it's another in a series of failures from the state, going back many years, where because they can't come to an agreement, the only people that are hurt are the kids. And I think they need to hear that going into this next session.
Okay.
Brett, could you draft a proposed letter for us?
I don't know if it should come from me. I can draft something up, but.
Well, what you do is you draft it, but then we would
Yeah.
we would finesse it into a board thing, and then it would come from all of us.
Well, what I'm trying to say is I'm not an intelligent man, Lori.
Oh, sure. Well, all right. I was trying to give you that. All right. Well, you know.
But I'd be willing to work with Kevin on drafting.
Oh, no.
Maybe together.
No. No. All right. So,
ChatGPT.
You've done a really good job of convincing us
Yeah.
otherwise.
So
Sorry to say.
I ended up writing a
Have the
letter
robot
when
write it.
we were supposed to be supervisory union here in the Rutland area, and said no to the supervisory union. We wanted to be a supervisory district on behalf of all of you, because we really did. I mean, we don't want to go back to a supervisory union. We don't want to go back to individual districts under a big supervisory union. We did that back in before 2016, and we'd lose superintendents because all they'd be doing is going to meetings, and not helping our kids. So how about
I will craft
take
something and send it,
that? Okay.
unless you want to.
Well,
But I do feel like it's an important thing that we as a
Draft it,
board
but
should
let
do.
us see it, right?
All right. Well, how about you draft? If you want to draft it, one fine, but I'm going
Sure.
to draft one too,
Sure.
and then we can kind of compare notes. And
Love it.
send it. We'll send them both out.
Yep.
We'll get
How's
to
that?
vote on the
idea.
better letter.
But
Yeah.
keep in mind, open meeting law too. just to
Well,
make sure.
right. No, we're not
bring
going
it
to
back
get
here.
together, but we'll probably put it in the packet so you both, everybody can read both, and then you can pick the one you like, or we can mishmash them together. Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Having 17 people mishmashing together is usually a recipe for
It's only
disaster.
13, and don't embellish. And we got it, and we have to do it as a board. So sorry, we're gonna have to mishmash. So
You
all
can
right,
both remain silent.
yeah. All right. So having said that,
Burnett conversations yet?
yes, to the next meeting. So our next meeting is Tuesday, December 2nd, here at 6 o'clock. If you all want to leave at 8:46, just say yes and leave.
Oh, wait, there's
Yes.
one more thing for future consideration. We have,
Oh.
there are other things to talk about Hawk Hill that can wait, but we have to have a discussion about a couple of Hawk Hill.
Yeah, just send it to me so that I can add it to the agenda.
Okay.
Okay? All right. Bye-bye.
Yes, bye.
Thank you.